11. Action. Scoliosis! Today I'm going to be talking to you about traction or elongation for your scoliosis curve. This is one of the best things that you can do for your scoliosis on a consistent basis. I'm going to show you like 7 different ways that you can do it, but really the list goes on the amount of traction exercises out there. Like there's just so many different ways to get it. It's going to be beneficial for everyone with scoliosis and if you have a fusion as well. I just do recommend, if you do have a fusion, being very gentle, but you can still benefit because some of the vertebrae that aren't fused might still experience a little bit of scoliosis and can still benefit from some traction and elongation. First, I want to explain why traction is so important for your scoliosis. And that is because it is literally one way to elongate and decompress the spine. And when we do that on a regular basis, it can really help us to stop the progression, stop pain, and just get a stretch and elongation for our spines. You imagine that this is scoliosis, and obviously it's curving and it's twisting. Traction is a way for us to lengthen out the scoliosis curve. And just like how it is here, when you do traction, you're not going to fully straighten the spine. It's never going to come up like this, but it will lengthen it a little bit. It is one way to just decrease the cob angle and take the pressure off the spine a little bit. So this is what we're trying to do with our spines when we're doing some elongation. You want to be aware, you don't want to like pull too hard with your traction, because if you pull too hard, there's this thing called the recoil effect, which is where when you come out of your traction, your muscles go into spasm because you pull too much, your muscles recoil and then they spasm and they tense, and it actually does the opposite effect of what you want it to do. So just be aware not to really pull on your traction, just being very gentle with it. So starting with a standing position, one way that you can get traction, which you would have done already watching this Scoliosis series, is to take your hands to your hips and then gently push your hands into your hips. And this is one way, really simple and easy, to elongate the spine. Every time we do traction, we really want to be aware not to flare the ribs, because it's so easy when you push into your hips. You might notice that your spine wants to go into extension, like it wants to flare the ribs. So you've really got to be careful that when you elongate, you don't let the ribs flare. So please be aware of that. I'm going to keep repeating that as we go through today. So taking your hands to your hips, this is an easy way. Also another way, taking your hands to your head and pushing your head up into your hands. This is 2 great ways to get standing traction requiring no equipment, and you can do it anytime. Another way is with a wall, so V arms up the wall. One of my favorite ways to do it, where you bring your feet shoulder width apart, you take the arms out into a nice big V shape and reach out nice and wide. Think about reaching the crown of the head up to the ceiling, and then you can take some nice big deep breaths. So you go from like relaxed to elongated. Oh, and that feels really nice. And again, that's something you could do. All you need is a wall. All you need is a wall. You can do that at the office, you can do it at home, you can do it at the gym, you can do it anywhere. Great way to get some elongation. Another way with a chair, and I'm sure you've seen me do 700 times before, but it never gets old, is a forward fold. And you can use a chair, a table, kitchen sink, like anything that you can put your hands on, where you can inhale. You always want to hinge at your hips, so not letting the spine round, hinging at your hips, taking your arms out in front, getting a little bend in your knee and elongating here. This just feels so good. Really nice. And when we're in this position, we want to make sure we're not, of course I'm just going to keep repeating it, but not flaring through the ribs. So you've got to suck your ribs in, and then get some nice big deep breaths into the back of the rib cage. And then to come out of this, you can walk your feet forward and come back up. Coming down onto the mat, let me show you 2 different ways that you can get traction. So first one I'm going to show you is a child's pose. I like to have my knees out wide. Make sure that the toes are equal at the back and you don't have one foot that's like further back than the other. And you can have a yoga block or a book or a pillow or something out in front. You can also place a pillow or blanket underneath your bum, especially if you struggle to get your bum down towards your hips. Then you can reach your arms out in front, take the forehead down onto the block, and get some nice big deep breaths here, some nice elongation. So that's one way, and I like this because this is quite a restorative, relaxing way to get traction. And a more active way would be by tucking the back toes under and then coming into a puppy pose, but the scoliosis friendly version, where you send your hips roughly halfway between your knees and your ankles. You send your arms out in front, and again, we're just lengthening through the spine here. We're not arching into the back, rounding into the back. We are getting as much length as possible, trying not to shrug the shoulders, sending the hips back and reaching the head forward, not letting the head dip down. And that's another great way, super easy. And I like to do puppy pose like in between workout sets, and it's really easy, but again, because it doesn't require any equipment, and it just feels really, really good. Another way that I love is with a handle. So this is actually a pull-up bar that you can just get off Amazon super cheap, or even using a door frame. That does the same kind of trick. And if you're in a gym or something like that, there's going to be plenty of things to hang off. So with a semi-hang, I am having my feet on the ground with my ankles roughly underneath my knees. And why I like a semi-hang is because we want to try and keep the natural curves of our spine, so our natural kyphosis and lordosis. And when you do a dead hang, or like a inversion table, it's really hard to keep those natural curves, and it's important that we do keep those and try and strengthen our spine with our natural kyphosis and lordosis. So that's why I'm a big fan of the semi-hang, because you can keep your natural curves but also lengthen out the scoliosis. And when you're in this position, you can do some shoulder shrugs as well, or just hold it and hang. And I just love, like, I'll come home after a long day of work or whatever, and this is right here, and I can just come and take a hang, and it's just a nice, really simple way to get some traction, nice and easy. And then I'll show you my other way that I love, and this is a great little hack for anyone that has a yoga strap. So what I'm going to show you, just so you can see how I've got my yoga strap around the door, and I have it laced, and I also just have it like tied into a double knot so it doesn't, undo. And then with the yoga strap, so what I like to do is just pop it around the top of my hips here. You see how it's connected to the door, and this just really helps to get some deeper traction, but without getting the recoil effect that we want to avoid. And from here I have my hands out on a stool in front, coming into a forward fold, wide-legged forward fold. You can either do like a downward dog. Sometimes I come onto all fours as well. There's so much that you can do with a yoga strap around a door handle. It's also when I'm traveling, because the yoga strap is such an easy thing to take with you. I bring my yoga strap with me if I'm in a hotel or something, and then I can tie my yoga strap around the door, and I've got a great, easy way to get some traction. So the good thing is with traction, there's just so many different ways to do it. When you are doing it, think about trying to hold it for 5 deep breaths. And when you're getting those deep breaths, really opening and expanding into the belly, into the chest, like those big inhales that we've been practicing throughout Scolimus. And then after those 5 deep breaths, come out of it, give yourself a rest, and then maybe repeat that 2 or 3 times. And it doesn't have to be a really long time. This could be 1 minute a day, but that's 1 minute a day that you're looking after your spine, that you're decompressing your spine and you're lengthening out your scoliosis. Compounded over time can make such a huge difference to how your scoliosis feels, your back pain, the progression of your curve. It's these little tricks and habits that we really want to start including into your daily routine to help you with your scoliosis. And this was just like a couple of little traction ideas, but there are so many. You can get creative, and that really is my number one recommendation with scoliosis. You don't need to know what kind of curve you have, just elongate and breathe, and it's just it's gonna feel good. It might feel a bit weird at first, definitely might feel weird because we're not used to lengthening out our spines. But in the long run, it's gonna feel good. So I definitely recommend doing it. Thank you so much for watching Scolimus today, and I will see you tomorrow for day 12.